we need a mic? As you guys might have read in the email, what I want to try and talk about today is how that we're doing a series about controlling the passions. And last week, Mark discussed controlling gluttony. Okay. So today is going to be controlling anger. So, like in Abu Nazir, like he quoted like a big chunk of the book of Colossians, chapter 3, and it was like basically how to live the resurrection in a practical sense in our everyday lives. And like one of the verses that I like really much in there is, "Therefore, as the elect of God, holy and beloved, put on tender mercies, kindness, humility, meekness, and long-suffering." So the first few qualities that are listed in there, tender mercies and kindness and all that stuff, is like the opposite, the complete opposite of like an angry, person. So first things first, like how do we define anger? Like what is anger? When we say this sin or thing out there that's called anger, what is that?
An uprise of emotions. Like an uprise of emotions.
Okay, like a burst of emotions, uprise. Okay. Yes, something else. You guys don't know what anger is?
Losing control.
Losing control, yes. So, like there's so many things we can say about anger. So like it's like a burst of emotions that we can't, like losing control of ourselves in a certain situation, not being able to deal with it, not being able to deal with a certain person or like a certain situation that happened at work, at school, whatever. But is anger a sin? Depends.
In the Bible, God got angry a couple times.
Okay. So basically, along what you're saying, if anger qualifies as a sin, then God forbid, sin, right?
So it can't be a sin.
So it can be a sin, but what can it be then?
Acting upon anger.
Acting upon anger. Exactly. That's what I want to get into. So there's a verse in the Bible that actually comes up a couple of times. One of them is Psalm 4:4. Be angry and do not sin. And then St. Paul later on in the New Testament, in Ephesians 4, he says it again, be angry and do not sin. So technically, or in theory, I am allowed to feel this thing called anger. We're going to define it. But I'm not allowed, or like the symptoms that follow, or like the actions that follow, this is what qualifies as sin, right? But let's elaborate. Let's take two examples from the Old Testament, and like with a sharp contrast. First of all, the first and like most famous example of anger that we can think of is between two brothers, Cain and Abel. Okay, so Abel brought an offering to the Lord because like he sacrificed the lamb, and God smelled it as a sweet, smelling sacrifice, and he accepted it. Cain brought the animal sacrifice, but Cain's sacrifice was a bit mediocre. God wasn't really pleased with it, and it wasn't really a sacrifice. It was just like an offering of fruits and vegetables or whatever. When Cain saw that God did not accept his offering, he felt jealous and angry, okay? And then God warned him. He told him, there's a sin that you're going to commit, there's something you're going to commit, and I'm warning you against it, don't do it. But he still felt that God preferred Abel, although he didn't. It's just like Cain that was lazy and didn't offer something proper. So, because of his anger, he acted and he went and killed his brother. Okay? first time he went up there, God gave him the 2 tablets of the covenant, written by his hand, provided by him, everything from God to Moses. After 40 days of not eating, like being on the mountain alone with God, it's a big process. And then Moses comes down and he sees that the people of Israel ruined everything. They made themselves like a statue and they started worshiping it and dancing to it and saying, this calf is what brought you out of the land of Egypt, this is the God that saved you. And then they started like worshiping it in a very unacceptable way. First thing Moses did when he came down on Sundays, what did he do? He got angry and he broke the tablets of the covenant. What did God do? Did he say, why did you do this? We spent so much time to write this and I gave you something and you just threw it on the floor and Shafi broke it? No. He said, whoever sins against me, I will blot out of my book. And then Moses said, no, do not wipe them out. Okay, and he interceded for the people. But it's as if God consented to what Moses did. So Moses, out of anger, broke the tablets of the covenant and God consented. So we have 2 things here. One was anger, he killed. The other was anger, he broke something that God gave him. The point was this accepted, not this one. What's the difference? I'll give you a hint. The second type of anger qualifies as a word that starts with a Z. Zeal. Okay, so we can define 2 types of anger, okay, just like 2 major families or types of anger that everything falls under. One of them is anger because something happened against me, okay, against my person, and then the other one is anger that because of something that happened against God himself, and it qualifies as zeal. Okay, so one of them is okay, it's called holy anger, zeal. The second type is not okay, because I don't know. But this is a quick definition, or like a quick classification of what anger is. Why? Second point is why or what causes me to be angry. So we're not going to discuss the holy type of zeal. Okay, this is it's kind of obvious, we're not going to waste too much time on it because this is not what qualifies as sin. But what we want to discuss tonight, in a very practical sense, is why am I angry? What causes me to be angry, and how do I fix that? So, first major point, why am I angry? I want 3 things that we want to discuss. Expectations. Okay, yes. One more step. Injustice, yes. What else?
You get affected by the environment too much?
Elaborate.
I don't know, anything that is outside, you don't keep your peace within you. So whatever in your environment that bothers you, you let it reach your peace physically, and then you get angry because of it.
Okay, so there seems as if there's outside circumstances and inside circumstances, stuff more related to myself, right? Okay, great. Let's focus on myself. Oh, sorry. Okay. What causes me to be angry? Me, myself. And I'm just to give you a hint, but I'm looking for characteristics in my personality that will cause me to be angry. Pride, okay, this is very noble, yes. But what I want to get to, practical examples. So for instance, if I'm trying to lead to OCD in my life, what I mean by that is not OCD in itself, but I am not willing to have things happen other than the way I want them. That's it. This has to be done this way. If it's not done this way, this is it's gonna bother me, it's gonna make me a bit angry. Okay? So this is one thing. So things not happening the way I want them to. Okay? So this is one goal. Second thing is, imagine yourself stuck in traffic. And you have an appointment, you have to go to school, you have to go to work, whatever. What does this qualify as? Impatient. Okay? So, wanting things to happen the way I want them to, none else. Second thing is being impatient. Okay? And then the third thing, which is not very obvious, like a lot of people overlook it, but I was actually surprised to hear it today. Like when I was listening and like trying to prepare, I was listening to a sermon. One of the things that struck me was, like maybe you guys know already, but when we're overloaded with stuff to do, okay, it's like sometimes we're busy with like our personal lives, we're busy with work, we're busy with studies, we have church, we have services, we have shafi, we have tons of stuff to do. I have to go visit this guy, I have to go visit my friend, I have to go give this gift to this shafi. Okay? Like there's tons of stuff happening in life, and then at a certain point, when we're not able to manage everything that's happening and going on in our lives, stuff just becomes too much for us to bear. And then we can easily lose it, very quickly lose it, at something that is completely unrelated. Like imagine, for instance, like a quick example, somebody who works like a shift, 7 a.m. to like 7 p.m. Okay, so I have to wake up at 5 a.m. By the time I'm ready, I take my commute to work, shafi, and then all the stress of work. And then when I'm done, I finish at 7, I'm home by like 8 or 9. And like for those who are married, like they have kids to tend to, they have their wives to spend some time with, they have to take care of the stuff in the house. For those like who are still studying, like like I finish my classes, I have to go back home, I still have to study, I have an exam tomorrow, I have a project, I have a presentation, I have tons of stuff. In addition to this, somebody calls me, like they have an issue, they have a problem, they need some help, they need some support. All this is going on in our lives, but sometimes you don't even notice. And then when it comes to a point, like as I'm like going on with everything that's happening in my daily life, somebody just comes and like, could you help me with, I don't know what, I have like a Calvin example, can you come and help me? Like, I don't have time for this, there's so much going on. No, so I lose it. Why did I lose it? And this person who has nothing to do with anything that's happening, it's because I'm overloaded and I didn't notice it. So 3 major causes. They're not the only ones, but like the ones that we tend to overlook. So first of all, it's wanting things to happen the same way I want them to, and anything that happens other than that is not acceptable. The second thing is being impatient. I want results now. I want it to happen now. I want whatever, like a simple example. You have a mop in your shoe. Okay, so some people will take their time to untie it and like fix it. Some other people like, go crazy and just throw it in the garbage and keep the garbage. So there's 2 ways of, And then the last thing was being overloaded and not noticing. But now the fun part. If I bear these 3 things in mind, let's look for 6 steps or like 6 things to practice in order to avoid the symptoms of this anger that's inside me. Try to think of something good. What's the first thing that I have to do? I hear stuff. If I want to fix, look, I realize, sorry, I gave away the answer. If I want to fix myself, if I want to fix my anger, I want to try to control it and contain it. Or not the anger itself, but like what results from it. What do I need to do? Notice it. How do I notice? How do I notice anger? Very simple. I need to understand, first of all, that the problem is within me. It's not the situation around me. Why? Another example from everyday life. A student in an exam, he or she goes to the exam and they fail it. Although they studied and like did everything, and like they're so like, upset and whatever. And this teacher is after me, this professor wants to fail me, and like whatever. But there's other people in class who got other grades. There's other people same way. I am angry, and like I'm not able to contain myself. It's not because there's too much going on around me. It's because there's something I need to fix. Okay? The problem is within. Right. So once I realize that I have an issue, I start acting on it. There's a verse in the book of James that says, it's actually like 6 words. Be slow to speak. Be slow to wrath. That's the first thing. And be slow to wrath. What does that mean?
Don't get angry quickly.
Okay, yeah. I get that, but explain.
Don't react directly.
Sorry?
Don't react directly, like pause, think about it before reacting.
Okay, so let me pull the answer to another question. Does anger happen overnight or in a second?
Sometimes.
Sometimes, but most of the time, there's a build-up. Most of the time. So it's as if you're driving on the highway and you see that about 200 meters from where I am, there's like a traffic jam and everybody stopped. I'm driving a brand new car that has excellent brakes. But if I decide that I'm going to stop 5 meters away from the car that's in front of me, I'm going to crash. Doesn't matter where I'm riding. But if I see the issue, I see the build-up, I see that, this is not normal, I see there's something inside me that's, starting to boil, then I need to be slow to wrath. I need to not allow anger to build up. So I need to avoid the build-up. How do I avoid the build-up? Give me ideas.
Pray.
Okay.
It's definitely a little stressful.
Well, I think the way I would think of it, I would say, not let every single little detail bug me. So maybe like, okay, let this pass, maybe. Yeah, be flexible.
Yes. Look, I'll give you an example. Actually, something that happened to me yesterday. It was actually funny. So, yesterday we're supposed to meet at somebody's house. So I park my car, and then I get out of the car, and I just a small side road, like between houses. So I get out of the car, and I'm pretty sure, maybe like 200% that nobody was following me, and the street was completely empty. Okay, so I didn't cut somebody off. I didn't hit anybody. Nothing. I was just like driving alone completely in the street. I parked. I got out of the car, and I crossed the street. And there's nobody. There's absolutely nobody. As soon as I cross the street, I see a car coming and starting to honk the horn. So I stop and look. And the guy opens his window. He's like, "You," like stuff I can't say. So the immediate feeling inside was, and what is going on? It was like so weird that it actually made me laugh. Sometimes when we ask, like it's funny that you said prayer, because sometimes when we ask in prayer, God, I want to change, I want to be a more meeker person, whatever, like a calmer person, a nicer person, whatever. God's answer doesn't come in it's done. Sometimes, or most of the time, He actually puts you in the situation and tells you, okay, start with it, start dealing with it. So, as I thought of this yesterday, I'm like, okay, that was kind of fun. There was absolutely nobody, I guarantee you, and this guy just came out of nowhere. So, that's one thing. Before reacting to whatever is happening, I need to, if you have a lot, there's something that's building up, I need to stop it. Okay, there's a traffic jam ahead of me, I'm not going to rush into it. Start braking everything. That's one thing. So, trying to contain the build-up.
be thankful that it's not so negative that it's not worse. As in, for example, say you're clumsy and you drop your cup of coffee and it breaks. You're like, I don't know, it's a bit too far, but you're like, oh, thank God I didn't step into the glass. It might help you not be angry that you actually broke it.
Okay, that's actually point number 5. But yeah, we'll get to it. That's good. But like, what's the second thing? Try to think about a logical flow. I know it's not really obvious, but like, whatever. Just saying. That's the way it makes sense. Remember when we said what the causes of anger were? What was the second thing?
Impatience.
That's like the first thing. So, being OCD in life, right? So, the remedy, or the opposite of this, is to actually accept people with their different characters. Okay? This is something each one of us needs to work on. So, quick example. And then from real life, I have this guy at work that drives me nuts. It's just unbearable. And like, it's not because he's rude or anything, it's because like, he's been working with us for 5 years, so I'm only 1 year senior ahead of him. And we've been doing the same stuff for the past, 6 years. But he still comes and asks me stuff about, like something that like, a beginner would know. And it's just like, it's unbearable, like it drives me nuts. Every time he pings me on IM, he's like, hi, Amir. I'm like, and then I start, hey, how's it going? And then eventually, like, I answer whatever he wants, whatever he's looking for, I answer him. And then at the end, like, the guy's so nice, and then it's better. He's like, oh, thanks, Amir, man, you're the man. Like, I always come for you, you're the guru. And I'm like, okay, about us and my reaction. And then I feel like an idiot. But sometimes we just don't accept people the way they are. Okay? Some people have, like, we all have different characters, we all have different talents, we're all good at something, but it doesn't have to be the same. We're not like one, what do you call it, like, one mold. So, accepting differences and accepting people the way they are is a huge step in containing my anger. Because if I do accept them the way they are, then there is no reason for me not to be happy with what they do. Very simple. So, again, back to the causes of anger. If I'm a person who wants everything to be done the way I do, then if I ask John to do something, that same thing, he's going to do it in a different way. It's not necessarily wrong, but if I don't accept it, then there's something wrong with me, not with John. You guys get the idea? No? Here's it. Okay. But,
We're just accepting the way you are.
actually, it's a good point, but I don't have. So, third point in my flow. If you say another point, I don't accept it. I actually forgot it. I'm drawing a blank, sorry. But, okay. Let's get to your point. John's teaching you a lesson. Okay, so, like John said here, one way of accepting, or like, not resorting to anger, is to actually fill yourself with what I call, like, what classifies or what goes under the category of prayer. What do I mean by this? Suppose I'm standing and I'm talking to this person at work that I do not like. And like he's discussing and Shafi, like he's telling me about all the stuff that happened to him in a certain project and how everything went down and like he had such a hard time and like his manager is giving him like a tough time and he's like, he's all over the place, he's angry, I'm and like this is because you didn't help me, Shafi. As he's talking, Okay? If I don't want to put myself into this bubble of all the anger and the wrath that he's in, what I can do is, as I'm listening, in my mind, I'm actually saying prayers. It could be whatever. It could be, I'm thankful I wasn't part of this project that failed. I'm thankful, for anything. It could be just reciting songs. It could be whatever, It could be anything that you want. But as long as I'm filling myself inside, okay, I'm trying to do I'm keeping my mind busy with something else, then whatever void I fill will not be filled with angry thoughts. So there's a void. Instead of filling it with angry thoughts because of what this guy or this girl has said to me, then I fill it with prayer. And then they could still be talking. I wouldn't be disrespectful because it doesn't show. So, but I don't allow myself to go into this bubble and not be able to come out of it later. The fourth thing I just wrote down was. Yes, no?
She was asking what's the third thing.
I lost track of the comment. Contrary to what a lot of people think, it is not safe or healthy to keep it inside. What does this mean? If you keep your angry thoughts to yourself, it's going to be like a pressure cooker. Okay? There's going to be like one thought, another thought, third thought, fourth thought, and then as time goes on, it's either two things. Or one day it's going to lead to a crazy reaction to something very small. Or the second thing, and this is more related to people, I'm going to hate dealing with this person. Just hate dealing with them. And it's not even, okay, I'm going to try and I'm talking to them, it's going to be like, I see this person from afar, I want to throw a javelin at them. And so, if I don't want this to happen to me, okay, contrary to common belief, I have to let it out. How?
Dartboard with a picture right there.
No. So some people imagine that letting it out would qualify as bringing something and starting to crack on it until it's over. I'm I needed to do this. This is not what I need.
Stressful.
Stressful, no. So there's a very easy way to do it. I can find a friend or a spiritual role model, my father confession, whatever, any person that I feel comfortable with. I go, I sit, and I talk it out in a very decent manner. When I talk it out, I do not let the feelings ferment inside me. Okay? Because if I keep the feelings and I block them, remember the first one, there's going to be a build-up. So in order to avoid the build-up, I have to let it out frequently. Okay? If I'm unable to, deal with a certain situation or feel whatever feelings I have, I go and I talk it through in a very decent manner. Okay? It doesn't have to be manic, anything, doesn't have to be dance, doesn't have to be whatever. But I sit down, I start talking. And then little by little, I'm gonna feel okay, I needed to talk and it's fine. I feel better now. Last point. Sorry.
But I just want to say a little comment about, I really like that Amir is saying that, choose, someone wisely, choose someone, a spiritual friend or someone who, and I think that's very, very important because I think, either it's going to become gossip, and then, there's a type of personality that if you complain to, they're going to put more flame on the fire and make you more angry. And then there's the other type, which is a peacemaker that always tries to calm you down, always tries to show you the positive side and make excuses for the person and whatever. And so it's very important to choose who you speak to and make sure it doesn't become gossip or make sure it doesn't become
But I have a question. In the one of the examples where you're talking to your colleague from work and he's super upset about this and that, and you're listening to him, like, can't you be that spiritual guide for that person?
It depends. If he or she like is standing there like talking about why other people contributed to his failure, and like this qualifies as gossip, you know. So like I don't wanna put myself in this. It depends again like on who's like. It's like a treatment like a person by person basis. Like it depends. It's gonna vary from one person to the other. Some people are able to go into this bubble and not be affected. But like I'm just saying like in a general sense to be safe and like not allow yourself to develop the same feelings as the person that you're talking to. Try to fill this void with something else. Like eventually the person who's talking to you is gonna let it out. Okay? Regardless of the way they did it. But then the one come down is gonna be over. But I will be hurt through the process. You know? The last thing, and actually that's the most important one, but it's a bit painful. Sometimes when I'm angry, suppose I wasn't able to contain myself, and then I acted on my anger. It could be something that I said, something that I did. I hurt somebody else. The only way to fix this is not to let it die all the time, because it won't. But it's actually to break myself. How do I do this? I go and I painfully apologize. Why am I saying painfully? Because my ego, my dignity won't allow me to do that. It's against common sense. Why would I apologize to this guy? Like, he provoked me, so I did it. You know, out of my head. But then, I hurted myself. This is completely unhealthy. If I want to avoid being the angry person that I was, or that I am, and I want change, then there's only one way to do this. Suppose like if everything else fails, it's actually going and apologizing sincerely. Because next time, this is going to act like a pin in the neck. A pin, not a pain. A pin, as in, you know, like these, it's like a picture on Facebook of these like soldiers in North Korea. You know, they have like 2 pins here, so that they have this posture, and if they move like 1 millimeter, it's gonna hurt. So they have to be standing in a very certain, you know, like sharp way. In the same manner, when I remember what happened because of how I reacted to a certain situation, and then how painful it was to go and apologize and like humiliate myself in the world's like, you know, in the world's conception of it. Yeah. Then I'm going to remember next time when I go to another situation that's similar, I'm going to remember, okay, back off. You guys get the idea? But very quickly cut. Summarize. So 3 things that cause me to be angry from within. OCD in life. Okay. Second, impatient. Third thing,
Stress.
overloaded. Oh yes. One more point. And this was from, I was listening to a sermon today when I was preparing, and it's Abuna who's saying that this is something that happened to him. So Abuna was like a big shop engineer in a big company before he became a priest. And like, he used to finish work, and then he was in Cairo, and then like he used to go there and like finish and then go home and see his wife and kids and Shafi. So at some point he felt overwhelmed, and like there was still service and like stuff to do at church, and like his day wasn't like 24 hours weren't enough. So he saw Abuna Taros Malati, like most of us know him, like he's one of these like priests that are, you know. So he went and he's like, can you give me advice? You know, like I need just advice. You know, there's this and that going on in my life, and like it's too much to take, and I'm scared, and like you know, I feel it's starting to get to me, and like I'm becoming very nervous person, and like anybody that tells me anything, I just like go all out. So, and he just saying like Abuna's answer was the weirdest ever to him. But now like I understand why. He just told him, what does your day look like? He's like, this and that, this and that. So I was like, okay, just take some rest. I was like, that's it. Just don't need anything. You're not going to tell me to do something, tell me just fast, whatever. Just take some rest. So, in a very simple way, when we feel that there's too much going on, just pull the plug. Very simple. You just pull the plug. Come on, not during finals and exams. but like a very simple thing to do. When I'm done finals, before going to interact with the people around me and going back to my social life, I'm still gonna be this I'm still gonna get nervous. So just take a couple of days ago, pull the plug, maybe go to the monastery for a couple of days, whatever, just whatever you want. Go up, move, whatever, anything. Just shut down. And then when everything's like down, and like relaxed, then go back to your normal life and start talking to people. Very simple. So, to wrap up on the methods to avoid anger, or the symptoms of anger, first of all, identifying it. The problem is within. It's not because of what's happening around. And then being slow to wrath, i.e. detecting that there's something ahead of me and stopping before it. Not allowing it to go like. Third point was accepting other people the way they are. Not being OCD. Not in the common sense, but like not my way or no way. And then fourth thing was filling myself with prayer. If I'm like discussing an issue with somebody or whatever, and like I don't want to go into her circle, then I fill myself with prayer, and I just listen, and they're going to talk it through, and it's going to be okay. Fifth point was yes, letting it out in a very decent manner to like a spiritual friend or somebody that's wise. And then eventually, there's two more, apologizing, breaking myself, and remembering how painful it was so that I don't do it again. And then not apologize, but like not be angry again. And then pull the plug. Not during finals, please.
You have something in St. John Baptist?
Sure.
إنه أنت
You've got one else than you. I'm just amazed that you can do also from comprehensive.
Okay, so it's a quote from St. John Baptist. Instincts are a gift from God, the beneficent, and all that He has given us is good and beautiful. However, through our wickedness, we have turned good to evil. Anger is a great gift, about which we cannot fight the enemy of goodness, i.e. the devil, and fight the sin that we commit. Yet we have directed these beautiful seeds into an evil direction, and we became angry with our brethren instead of with or at the enemy.
Earlier you said that anger is not a sin, it's acting on it as a sin. So when God ordered the flood, because He was angry, like what is that considered?
Well, I'm going to correct me if I'm wrong, but the emotions that are attributed to God, the author of the book, so in this case Moses, is trying to make the picture a bit clear to the human being that's reading. We cannot fathom, God's emotions and feelings, we cannot describe them, but we use our human terms to describe them. So, along the line, when we say God was angry, it doesn't mean that He was boiling and like He started beating on something and like He was, okay? So that's one thing. And then the second thing is, it's more related to the plan of salvation. So why did God do this? Like, the answer can take hours, but like one of the points, or like the easiest point that I remember at least, is in order for God to complete his salvation, what did he need to do? He needed to, yes, so like eventually, like he wants to take the body of a man, okay, to come dwell on earth, okay, and then be crucified and rise again and take us with him. So, in order for him to be incarnate, he needs to come from a lineage. Obviously, the lineage needs to be somewhat pure. Back in the days of Noah, the only people who were pure were Noah and his family. And had God waited, they would have been corrupted with the corrupt morals of the people around them. And like, again, one basic example was like after the flood, Lot, who's Noah's relative, like we know what their daughters did with them, and like it was like, it's a mess. And these were the good people. So again, it's God dealing with his creation according to his plan for salvation. So he has like a bigger wisdom than we can fathom, but this is one of the, there's a few reasons that we can discuss maybe later, but like this is one thing that I just remembered that.
The verse in Psalms that says, "Be angry and do not sin," does that mean like the emotion of anger is never wrong as long as I never act on it? Or can sometimes the emotion of anger be still a sin even though I didn't act on it?
My take on this, and like, I can be wrong, but remember at the beginning we defined two sorts of anger. Okay, so one anger is actually holy. Okay, it's like feeling zeal for the house of God, for instance. Like when Christ went into the temple, like he kicked everybody out. It's out of zeal for your house's sake, right? Another type of anger was like the human anger that we experience, which is a human feeling. But what does act upon it mean? Act upon it could mean not doing anything and storing the feelings inside you. And this eventually will lead to your destruction. Or acting upon it like Cain did, like go and kill somebody. There's tons of stuff that you can do with your emotions. But this is why we discussed, like one of the things to avoid doing this is to actually let it out in a very decent, respectful manner. So it's okay to feel angry at some stuff. Like it's not a perfect world, and we're not perfect. And like we have, like God created us with these emotions, like that little thing that we read. But it's like what we do with these emotions that we, that we're creating.
But is there sometimes a danger in letting it out that like as we talk about it, it kind of stirs up the emotions even more? Or is it like, I understand something, is it sometimes better to keep it in and try to eliminate it? Or is it like you always have to, like it's always good to let it out no matter what?
But then if you keep it in and try to eliminate it, how would you eliminate it?
And either through prayer, Bible reading, or like to not contemplate too much on the frustrating circumstance. But I'm asking.
I'll tell you, like based on experience, well, my experience is very limited, but like I've definitely like a few situations that I've been through. And like again, like as the Buddha says, when you're letting it out, you're not just like letting it out to your friend while sitting a cup of coffee. It's like it's actually like you pick somebody who's wise, who's able to guide you, like give you guidance, give you some spiritual guidance. And like as you're letting it out of your system, you're just gonna forget about it eventually. But like storing it and then trying to get rid of it while it's inside you is like being an vicious circle.
I think there's also like a difference between like trying, like when you let it out, it's after you've already gotten angry about it. But if you like recognize a situation and try to diffuse it before you get angry, it's not the same thing, like if you didn't get angry already, then you don't need to let it out, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's why like there's like we cited like I don't know, like 7 things to do. Like they're not mutually exclusive.
about the verse, be angry, not sin, like I read on Pope Shimura's book, he gave the church fathers interpretation about it. It says, the first interpretation is the holy anger for the sake of God, as long as it is in a spiritual manner with no trespasses, is holy in its purpose and its action. And the second interpretation is the anger of the person because of his personal faults and of the sin that he committed will result in him not sinning in the future. So it's talking more about the zealous sin, the zealous anger. And I think, like you said, this one is not really a sin, because it's never a sin. Because Jesus, when he was angry, it was always because of their unbelief, like when he overturned the table. And the other verse is in Romans 12:19. It says, do not avenge yourselves, but rather give place to wrath. But this one, he means, like the expression of the Father, it says, to give a chance for the anger to depart from you and not give it a place to settle inside you. Do not keep the anger inside you, it might turn to hatred and desire for revenge. Give it a chance to depart from you. So I think it's saying the actual sin is refusing to let the anger depart from you. Like to have anger is
story.
Exactly, story. Because having anger isn't for all humans. So this real sin is really letting this anger linger in you and not. Exactly.
Yeah, you had a question.
I have something to share in Ephesians 4, verse 26. The angry and do not sin, do not let the sun go down on your wrath. So, for us, it's okay to be angry, but we don't have to wait the sun to go.
Yep.
We have to release.
Any other questions or comments? Sherry? I have.
I have some announcements. Oh yeah, sorry, I had one encouraging thing about anger is that Saint Isaac the Syrian says that if you're naturally a person that gets angry more often than another person who's naturally mild and doesn't get angry easily and meek and doesn't get angry, then the one that gets angry naturally, when he overcomes his anger, he is rewarded much more. He receives a reward. God rewards him for being able to overcome his nature, versus someone who is naturally born like that. He does not get a reward because this was his nature. And he says, he compares it to you cannot count the eunuchs among the virgins. If you don't know what a eunuch is, ask your friend. Awkward explanation, but basically you cannot count the king's eunuchs or the queen's eunuchs among those who have chosen a life of celibacy, for example, and give them the same reward, because it's not the same thing. Anyways, the announcements I wanted to make is that next week, next Friday, we're not going to be here. We're going to all go to St. Mary's Church because Father Anthony from DC, Washington DC, Father Anthony, he's going to be there and he's going to be speaking to us as a communal meeting. So that's that priest that has a very excited voice, you guys know, yeah. And then, so next week we're not here. The other announcements is what I wrote is that we have a camping trip on August 5th to the 7th, and it's more of a camping retreat. I don't want to call it camping trip because we want to have a little bit more of the focus, and it's going to be very nice. And please, as we said, we want to try to keep it for those who are able to join us for the whole weekend. We want to avoid one-day visits, people that just come on Saturday and leave, because it makes a nice bond when we're all together. And the last thing is, you can sign up through the email online. The last thing is the summer camp. The summer camp, they have a summer camp for 8 weeks in the church, and they're looking for older people to work. And so if you know anyone or have a friend or you yourself would be willing to work with the kids for the summer, you can apply through the email as well. There's a link to the STGJ camp or something like that. And yeah. Any other council, so I forgot